Crypto can be a gamble. We all know that. It can be a complete roller coaster at times. If you're up, why not throw some profits on mybookie.ag and use your extra cryptocurrency in their casino? With live dealers, it's exactly like being in Vegas, but without all the smoke and noise. From blackjack, roulette, baccarat, slots, sports betting, props on entertainment and politics, all the way to esports like League of Legends and Counter-Strike. Not to mention, you can play all of their games on your cell phone, iPad, or tablet computer. It's entirely up to you. You can literally play from anywhere. It's like being in Las Vegas on your couch. MyBookie.ag also offers deposits on their website with Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin. And payouts are incredibly fast and totally anonymous with cryptocurrencies. Check them out at mybookie.ag and be sure to use the promo code CryptoStreet for a 50% bonus when you deposit.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Let's go.
Round one, fight.
Thank you for tuning in to the Crypto Street Podcast. Here are your hosts, Killer Whale, Prince, and Crypto Dale.
And remember to tip your waitress.
Hey, everybody. This is Crypto Dale, newly minted, sponsored by Busch Light. Crypto Dale, folks. It is happening. Today is, I think, Monday, the 16th. We are recording after the bloody shit show, what is now known as Crypto Power Hour. So thanks for everyone listening. As always, I'm Crypto Dale. You're tuning in to Crypto Street Podcast. Who would we be without our normal co-host? So Killer Whale, what's shaking, bacon?
Yo, I'm a little bit sleepy today. I was talking about this in one of our chats in Telegram. I think looking at my phone before I go to sleep is like messing up my sleep cycle a little bit. So I got to do something about that.
Stop playing all that chess, man.
Yeah.
Hey, you zip it. We haven't said your name yet.
Addicted.
I think too, in the same group that we're in, I said I'm actually starting is it keto?
Yeah. Keto.
I'm starting the keto diet next week. So hoping that's gonna, cleanse my body.
Bro,
and
you're gonna be very sleepy, I think, the first week at least. Probably a couple weeks.
Good.
Oh, I don't know. I did keto.
What's the difference now? Welcome to parenthood, folks.
Yeah. It definitely works,
Prince,
but it's miserable.
I've heard that. And that part I am definitely not looking forward to.
What's up, Dale?
Coming to you from Canada, he stands 10 feet tall, weighing in at 1.7 tons. Prince.
What's up?
What's the weather like up there, homie?
Sucks. Got a lot of snow today. But it's already.
You guys did?
Yeah, it's already starting to melt though. So. Yeah.
Hey, were you shoveling off the grass?
No, not today. I got that done with yesterday, so we're all good.
Oh, Jiminy Crickets. So, guys, we haven't done one of these episodes in quite some time. I think the last time was with Brenda. Everyone listening, I'm sure you've already read the title. We are doing a noob episode. Tonight, we are joined by, it saddens me to say this, and I know he is going to bust my balls once I say this. It's Crypto Cubby, or I'm sorry, Crypto _ Yankee is our guest tonight. So hey, thank you very much. I know you're a huge Yankees fan. We were talking before we started recording. I'm okay with that as long as it's not a Cardinals fan.
Well, that's all good. I'm here with my 27 championship rings, so I'm not too lonely.
Oh,
there we go.
Them fighting words?
Hey, maybe, man. I mean, you guys got one in the last 100 years?
Hey, you know what? Answer me this. Who's got the longer drought right now, the Yankees or the Cubs?
All right, I'll give you that one.
I'm just messing with you. So let's dive into the episode. Yankee, why don't you give everyone just a little background on yourself, about your crypto relationship, and did I really just say crypto?
It's a good. I think it's a good word for it. Like, honestly, it pretty much is a relationship.
It really is. So let's hear it. Are you guys dating, married, engaged, or let's just hear how you got in?
So, I really got to give some love to my boy Crypto Trojan. He's been my best friend actually since the 5th grade, and I first heard about it.
Wow. Shout out Crypto Trojan.
So I heard about it from him the first time, probably back in 2013. And he was, using it to make online transactions, and
as everybody was,
and was explaining to me a little bit about how it worked, and I had known about it, but I wasn't. I mean, I grew up pretty. My dad was a preacher's kid, and I grew up with a lot of like paranoia when it comes to. I mean, my dad like double checks the door when it's locked, like that kind of shit. So and when he was telling me about
hopefully he's not listening.
No, probably not. But it was a good thing. But yeah, so
right.
So I was kind of like taken off by it, just a little like scared about what he was doing, and kind of didn't really think much of it. And then in 2016, I'm like a big listener of the Joe Rogan podcast, and he had he had Andreas Antonopoulos. Is that how you say it? I think.
Yeah.
Andreas,
I don't know.
Yeah, so he had him on his podcast, and he was talking about Bitcoin, what it was, kind of just the basic, path that it had followed from then to 2016, and he was talking about Mt. Gox, and I was really interested in it, but I was really confused and like again just really scared and paranoid about it. I was like, wow, this sounds like it totally has a use case, but I mean, it doesn't really sound that secure. And then he's talking about those guys just running with all that money and getting away with it. And so didn't really look into it, and then kind of kicked myself in the head moment. Last May comes right back. Crypto Trojan kind of shielded me Ethereum. We're at the gym together working out, and he's telling me all this stuff about how great it is, and it's like on the come up. He got it at like $90 or something like that, and I had just gotten a new position in sales, and was looking to make some investments last summer, and then just completely forgot about it. And in the winter, December, like probably around Christmas time, I was up late night playing the new Call of Duty, and he sends me a screenshot of his Blockfolio. And he's like, yo, remember that shit I was telling you about a few months ago? And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? And yeah, so funny story. I ended up getting a nice commission check in January, and I was starting to like put together a list of coins I was going to get into, and it's too funny. Got to admit, Ripple was the top of there, and so naturally. So I get my Coinbase account all set up, and I accidentally, it was a blessing in disguise though. I accidentally had purchased Ethereum with my bank account instead of my debit card, so I didn't get it right away. And so in the meantime, he's like, all right, you got to wait 7-8 days till you get your Ethereum deposit in your account. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna take this time to kind of research and dive a little bit more into these projects. And that's actually when I found you guys, because I hate reading. I know it's super important.
Oh, I'm with you.
But yeah, it's like I just cannot. It's really hard for me to just sit down and read like a full article or something like that. So I really wanted a podcast because I'm a commuter, and I was going through the list of like, I just Google, search crypto on the podcast, and I found a couple that were really like informational, but nothing that I could really like listen to. And funny enough, the first podcast I heard of you guys, the first like 3 minutes, it's Dale saying, hey guys, I'm sorry, I'm sick today, so if I sound like I have 2 dicks shoved up my nose.
I did not say that.
I recall this. Yeah.
And I was dying.
I remember that very clearly.
And Prince and Killer just started ripping on Dale, and I was like, this is for sure the podcast that I'm going to be listening to.
That's so funny to me, because that is totally how us three's relationship is. It's like any one of us can say something stupid, and then the other 2 just pounce. So it's kind of funny.
Well, that's how it is like with your closest friends, right? Like those are the people you're not afraid to make fun of. You're not afraid to be like, oh, you're a fucking idiot, stuff like that.
And that's why I really liked you guys too, because it was like, these are the boys talking about something that I know nothing about. So seems like something I could relate to, and instead of some big PhD doctor that's all into engineering and all that kind of stuff. And
we all have PhDs too, by the way.
Yeah, my bad.
I'm just kidding.
I didn't offend you.
PhDs and beer drinking.
Yeah.
And so anyways, so my purchase cleared, and just really wanted to say thank you so much. And I first started listening to you guys just really starting to understand, what to look for when researching coins that you want to invest in. Totally kept me from buying any Ripple or any of the other shit coins that I was thinking about getting at the time, and really just started to, see like all these trigger words that were on certain types of websites of the projects. And so, without you guys and a lot of the crypto Twitter sphere and accounts on there, I don't know if I would have been able to resist the FOMO on that.
It warms my heart to hear that we helped you to stay away from Ripple.
No, seriously, like
that warms my heart.
The first podcast, you guys are just like, you did the above or below, and you're just like Ripple, and it's like, oh, that's a shit coin, and I was like, damn, this guy's talking about it's a shit coin. I really got to like do my research and check this out, and then reading deeper into it on Reddit and Telegram, I was like, okay, damn, you know what? I think these guys might know what they're talking about. And sure enough, just massive crash and people freaking out. So hats off to you guys.
It's so cool to hear that. I know I speak for these other two when I say this, but it's so surreal hearing people still say that to us. I mean, especially me. Killer and Prince are very smart and sharp, but I'm just a dumb shit. So it's really good to hear all that. So, Yankee, we're glad it helped you. Hopefully we've helped some other people along the way, but if not, one person is great. So how these noob episodes normally work, you've got the floor. You ask us any questions you want pertaining to anything. Not too crazy.
Yeah.
But, go ahead, start asking. If you veer off the beaten path, that happens. We've got 40 minutes, so let's rock and roll.
All right, let's get right to it. I posted my first Wyckoff chart the other day, and it was definitely a hindsight chart, and I wasn't trying to make a call or anything like that, and it really made me think. So for those of us that are new to charting and trading, what are some ethics and general rules that one should follow when they're looking to post their charts?
I like that question because I think sometimes people are maybe a little too nervous to post their charts. And I think, like I have some horrendous charts that I have posted like through the years. And like I could go back through some of my social media outlets where they were posted and I would probably just choke. Actually, it happened recently where I looked at it. It was just like a year ago. I looked at it, I was like, wow. Like, times have certainly changed for me. But I think like, to say that like certain etiquette, I don't necessarily think there needs to be a certain etiquette in a sense, as long as, maybe you're looking for constructive feedback or, stuff like that, because, like, nobody starts out really good. And the best way to get better is to be able to, put your ideas out there and, have thick enough skin that, maybe somebody is going to call you an idiot. Ignore that person because obviously they're not doing anything constructive for you. But then, there's going to be some people who are going to give, legitimate good feedback. And so I think, really when it comes down to chart etiquette, I would say the biggest thing is just don't be the guy who's like screaming that this is definitely going to happen.
Right.
Being the guy who's like so concrete into a bias and then he's posting a chart and, it's like where everybody's like, oh, this guy is bullish and look at how bullish he is. So this, and then people kind of follow that. I don't like that stuff. But otherwise, I think, get your charts out there because, and, like see if, accounts that you look up to say or think are really good at what they do, see if they'll reply. Some guys aren't going to even, pay any attention, whatever, no harm, you didn't lose anything by trying. And then some guys are going to comment. And then you got some new info, right? So,
and I think you'd be surprised if you are really trying and send something to a bigger account or someone that's been in the game for a long time. I think you'd be surprised at the response you'd get. A lot of people have a negative perception on the people that have been in a long time, when in reality, a lot of times, if you're sending a legit question or want legit feedback and are cool about how you ask it, they're gonna give you the feedback. I don't think that's a problem. And, to people listening to yourself, Yankee, I still am not comfortable posting my charts on. I don't even really send them to Prince or Killer. I don't want them to laugh at me. It's just the confidence thing with me. I just use it myself. maybe I'll send it to him after something has happened, or so I just think it comes with confidence.
Yeah. I'd say, I guess one thing is obviously like don't steal charts, but I mean,
Right.
that's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
One thing I really appreciate with charts is simplicity. I think it's hard not to draw a million different lines on a chart because it's like complexity gives the illusion of expertise. But it's not always the case. So something I really appreciate is just, keeping it simple because I think it's easier to understand. And I think it's just easier to kind of get the message if you're not looking at a billion different lines and fractals.
Right.
And I mean, you need some of that depending upon your charting style. But that's something I appreciate.
Sweet. Yeah, I definitely don't want to be like, steering anybody in the wrong direction, but at the same time, I am definitely looking to learn and kind of get some feedback.
But at the same time, you gotta remember too, you being other people looking at your chart have to realize that, at the end of the day, you could post a bullish chart on air swap thinking you're bullish, but people need to realize that they still need to double check the chart. They still need to do their own research. So, I mean, post the chart, say what, you can bullish on air swap watching this. And then the rest is up to them to do. So
Yeah, and the thing is too, people will call you out. They'll be like, "Oh, you posted this chart and it was wrong." But like, that's really stupid.
Yeah, I think
because
that's the dumbest thing.
with trading, you're gonna be wrong a lot. It's just the nature of the business. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there. And it's a good thing because you'll only get better.
Cool. Thanks. All right. And then next one. What are indicators you look for when determining whether a coin was oversold or overbought over different time frames? I see that a lot, like, oh, this coin looks oversold here, or this looks overbought. What does that mean, and how do you see that on the charts?
So I think one of the easiest indicators that you can use for that is just your RSI indicator, your relative strength index. And it's gonna, it'll get up there. But I think, there are times where people maybe look a little too much into the overbought or oversold aspect of things. Just from experience, it's like things can stay oversold and overbought a lot longer than we would, think possible, especially in crypto, because the moves are so much more intensified. But, I think if you really want to look and have it, where it's like maybe it really gives you a better look on if things truly are, in that area of overbought, oversold, then you probably want to be looking at it on a larger time frame.
Okay.
You don't want to be looking at, like a 30-minute chart really, unless you're into doing like some short-term trading. But yeah, it's tricky, right? Like, especially with that, there's guys you see that are like, oh, this chart is overbought, so I'm not buying it. And then it'll pump up another, maybe 100% or something.
Yeah.
Happens a lot.
Yeah, just like you said, things can always get more overbought or more oversold. So just because something is one or the other doesn't mean it's going to go the other direction anytime soon. And we talked a little bit about momentum yesterday on the live stream. And momentum is a very quantifiable thing in investing. It makes a big difference, especially in crypto. The effects are really strong in that things that have done well in the past tend to do a little bit better in the future. And things that have done poorly in the past tend to do a little bit worse in the future because people have a lot of recency bias, which means they give a lot of weight to what's happened in the last week, for an asset. So that leads to things often, continuing trends for quite some time, especially something like crypto, where, I make this comparison before where you look at a stock, and if a stock has a certain PE ratio, you can say, okay, this is way too expensive. This company's not making enough money to justify this price. In crypto, you don't have that. In crypto, you don't really have as many fundamentals to hold things down, to chain assets down. So it really lets your imagination go wild. So I don't put too much weight into overbought or oversold, which Prince said is mainly referring to RSI. But it's a number of factors. So you got to keep everything in mind. It's this big puzzle you're trying to put together.
So and then to add my little cherry on the top here. So if you look at the daily on Bitcoin, it was technically on the RSI index was overbought from November 25th all the way to December 18th. So, I mean, that just kind of shows you, to reiterate what these two have already
it's
said.
like, you use it as like, a piece of info, pretty much like all of our trades are formulated with, little pieces of info where we think, maybe, okay, risk reward might be skewed in our favor. The overbought, oversold thing is just another little piece that you can use for that, but you have to take it with a grain of salt, right? Definitely not going to be an end all be all kind of thing.
So, why are timeframes important, and how do you use different timeframes to make entry and exit decisions? And which timeframes do you prefer to use?
So, for people who don't know, usually time frame you're referring to a couple things, both sort of the larger picture of the chart in terms of over how many weeks you're looking at a chart or how many weeks it's representing, and also basically the time period per candle, because people in crypto use a lot of candle charts for the most part. So an example might be a 30-minute chart where each candle represents 30 minutes of trading action. And then a different example is a 4-hour chart, or you'll hear people talk about the daily chart, which means each candle represents a day's worth of trading activity. So in general, the symbols you want to use all of them, okay? So for different reasons. In general, though, the stronger signals are going to be things that confirm on bigger time frame charts. So if you see a breakout on the daily chart, that means a lot more than a breakout on the 5-minute chart, okay? But at the same time, depending upon your trading style, you may have a use for that 5-minute chart if you're trying to trade chop or you found that trading chop works for you. But in my mind, the smaller time frames kind of serve as microcosms of the larger time frames. So you want to look at both just because they can both give you kind of clues and hints, but you really want to focus, I would say, on the larger time frames. But that's tough because, the larger time frame ones are more boring. We all want to look at the chart and see those big green dildos go up, on the 5-minute chart. We're like, oh yeah, here we go,
Like the large time frame charts are created of the small time frame charts, right? Like you said. So for me, when I'm trading, if I'm doing like a serious look and it's like, okay, I don't plan on just buying and selling this in the same day. This could be a multi-day, multi-week trade. The first thing I'm going to be looking at right away is the daily chart. And then I'm going to look at the 4-hour chart to maybe help get another view and look at where a good exit or a good entry, might be. So it's tricky, but if you want to look, say on the 4 hours, sometimes what I'll find myself doing is I won't make a move on the 4-hour chart until I see the candle close, because I want that candle confirmation on what's happening. Because a lot of times we've seen where a candle will go extremely low, say, and then people are panic selling, but then by the time it closes, it's it's jumped all the way back up near to where it opened, say, and it forms a massive wick, which is, a bullish signal, right? So I think waiting for those candle closes are really important. And so, say you're waiting for a 4-hour candle close and you're trying to think, oh, okay, how's this candle going to close potentially? Well, you can start looking at the 30-minute chart, and the 30-minute chart could potentially lead you into a direction of, okay, I see, maybe there is weakness or strength here on the 30-minute chart, which to me tells me that, in an hour and a half time span, this 4-hour candle close is probably going to look pretty good or, pretty bad.
Okay.
Vice versa, right?
And another, just to add on to everything, that we've already said, kind of something I like to do is, looking at the different time periods and switching between them. So I'll consider a trend like stronger if it holds like a moving average on like a shorter time frame, because it's just more indicative of more momentum. If it's staying above a moving average on like the 15-minute or the 30-minute, and then if it breaks down below that moving average on that chart, then you might want to zoom out a little bit onto the hourly chart, for example, and see if it maintains that moving average on that chart. So you kind of use them all. It's like a big puzzle piece.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's kind of something that I've been trying to focus more on, is just seeing how all the time frames really work together and why and how, just to get a better understanding of the market. So now that crypto has become more relevant and is accepted as a form of payment to a broader community, how have you used crypto to purchase products that are legal? And if not, do you find it hard to use crypto like you would any other fiat currency?
I don't really buy anything with crypto, to be honest. My first foray into it was a quote unquote online purchase, so there was that. But since then, not really. Ever since I've viewed it as an investment, it like pains me to part with any of it, and so I don't think I really find it hard. I think there are definitely plenty of places that you can use crypto to buy things with. But for me, it's just a hard thing to come to grips with because I don't want to give any of it up. And I really I buy more into the argument of crypto as like a store of value or, certain utility tokens having uses rather than just a flat out currency. So that's kind of where I stand on that.
Yeah, no, I really don't go shopping with crypto. I'm in the same boat as Killer. To me, you hear the stories of the guys who are just going on spending sprees with Bitcoin online back in the day, and you hear them say how pissed off they are at themselves because it's like, there's so much
10,000 Bitcoin pizza.
Yeah, perfect
said.
example, right? So to me, I don't want to be that guy. No, thank you. So I don't spend it on stuff like that.
Yeah, me neither. I've cashed some out and pay taxes on IRS.
The weird part too is tax wise. I mean, by buying things with crypto, aren't you incurring a taxable event technically?
You take,
which is ridiculous.
You incur a lot more fees tax wise and all that. So,
oh, that's good to know. I know that there's debit cards you can get now to like link to your Ethereum.
Yeah, I've seen those, and like I think they're kind of cool, but you got to be cautious because now I can't remember which one I was looking at, but the fees on it when you use it, they get you on the fees. So yeah, you definitely on those cards, like I've definitely looked into trying to get them, one for myself, but definitely read the fine print because the fees on some of those cards are pretty ridiculous.
Okay. Yeah. Well, good segue into the next question because the real reason I kind of started this is I got college loans to pay and I got a family. I have a daughter. She's awesome. She's the light of my world, and
awesome.
it's pretty cool. And I really want to I do want to take profits from this at some point. And so with the possibility of alt season on the horizon, do you have a strategy for taking profits? And do you have targets set for certain bags or percentages you plan to sell once they hit that target?
This is trying to determine that stuff. It's so tricky with alts because alts are, they're a different beast, right? Like once they really get going, and we have seen some absolute ludicrous pumps on alts that you think to yourself, there's no warrant for that. That's not sustainable, blah, blah, blah. But somehow it keeps going, right? Alts are nuts. They're an unpredictable beast at times, So and I've said it before, and I really do kind of stick by this. It's hard to pick a point on, a spot where you're like, yes, I am going to sell everything right here.
Yeah.
I don't believe that is a good approach to alt trading either. Unless, say your stop loss is getting hit or something and you're like, okay, you know what? I feel like my trade idea is no longer valid and it's time to jump ship. But otherwise, if it's going in your favor, I'm not somebody who's going to sell everything at one go. You scale out slowly, right? Maybe sell 20% of your position at a nice profit and then you let the rest ride and say, it goes up another 30, 50, 60%, who knows? Anything is possible with alts. Then you sell another 20% of your position, right? You never know, but once you're in that profit zone, just let it ride, right? I think, I think what Jesse Livermore, it was the famed trader. It was, it was his sitting idly that made him the most money. So, just being able to sit tight, which is a hard thing to do.
There's a phrase in trading too, let your winners run. And I think it's totally true. And just like you indicated, Prince, things can run for a lot longer than you think they can. I mean, some of these pumps get absolutely ridiculous. Just look at Ripple, for example. Everyone likes to shit on it, but people were calling Ripple an absolute scam when it was a third of a cent, and they were like, never buy this. There's way too much supply. It's a third of a cent. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, it may be a scam, but like this thing is so lowly priced, quote unquote, that people are going to see that and they're going to go, oh my God, this is my chance to get in on something that I missed out on with Bitcoin or Ethereum. And lo and behold, Ripple hits $3 at some point in the past few months.
We see that with a lot of cheap alts now.
Yes,
like that is like kind of a trend, it seems.
Yeah, and the thing is, people were calling Ripple a scam when it hit 10 cents. They were calling it a scam when it hit 30 cents. They were calling it a scam when it hit $1. And it ended up going past all those numbers. And, maybe it is a scam, but that doesn't mean it can't go up and make you money, too.
Scams pump the hardest, they say, so.
Yeah,
That's
as Donnie
is famous for. Yeah, I think my biggest thing is, like Prince said, letting the winners run and then always leaving, depending on the coin token, leaving a percentage of it still in play. That way, if it massive green dildos, I'm not going to, kick myself in the ass for getting completely out of a position.
There was a saying, I can't remember where I read it, but it was a quote. And it said, so the difference between great traders and average traders will hold on to losers very long and they'll cut winners quickly. Whereas great traders will cut their winners, their winners, they let them ride, but their losers, they'll jump ship on quickly if they think it needs to be done.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think even more than like price targets for my different alts, I think I more have like a bigger view of my portfolio. And I'm like, okay, if I hit a certain number in terms of dollar amount, then I'm going to significantly scale back, or at least take quite a bit of profit, just because I have goals in my mind.
Yeah.
Like, buying a house, for example, or getting a certain car.
Well, and to me, there's a whole thing too of, portfolio balancing in a sense. So, an example I went through, which was like my first real experience with it, was holding a bag of, Dragon Chain from ICO. And, you're thinking, okay, look at how much of my portfolio this now, takes up. And it's like, I don't know if I like that anymore, right? So that's another thing for me. It was like, okay, well, when things start taking up, more and more of the portfolio, I start trimming down because I want to kind of level things out in a sense.
Okay.
And that's an important aspect of alt season too, is, kind of flipping things into things that haven't pumped yet. You want to have some discipline. You do want to let your winners ride, but it's not a bad idea to take partial profits on things and put them into things that you're really convinced will pump that haven't pumped yet, because you can make a hell of a lot of money doing that if you do it right during a good alt season.
Okay. Yeah, I want to be prepared for it, because it's kind of just, asking that question. It's really taking the emotion out of it, right? Is like, I want to take that profit because I got bills to pay. I got, this coming up, I got to pay for that.
Totally.
And it's like, I don't even know what an alt season looks like.
When, you know what, man, what I'll say is when it does come, you'll know it's alt season because it's pretty crazy.
You'll just wake up and like every single morning, it looks like your block folio has gone up like 10 or 20%.
It's funny because,
like, oh my God, how long?
I listened to us talk about how alt season is, and we sound like these old cronies who are like talking about the glory days, just
back in my day, alt season lasted a year.
Oh, I tell you, when you see that alt season, you'll know. It's like,
well, yeah, being new since like right around like January or end of January, early February, it feels like, it's like, God, is that even real? Like, does it exist?
Yeah.
Trust me, we ask that same question still.
Yeah,
we're far from OGs. Yeah. We've been in it for a few years, but
like they talk about alt seasons that have happened that, to us, we've never even experienced, like what back in 2014. And they say it went on for months. And it's like, the biggest one I experienced was, I think, April, May, June, or maybe, kind of that time frame last year this time. Things got pretty wild in the alt market, but that was only a few months.
Didn't SoCal say the other night one lasted like an entire year?
I think that was the back in 2014 or something.
That's nuts.
Yeah, and it's like being between a rock and a hard place too, because I want to take that profit, but then I think about where's it going to be in 18 months. Here's
what I would say, dude. Yeah, like my theory kind of going into it, I didn't have much capital to invest. I had bills to pay. I had very little that I could actually put into this stuff. But, at a certain point, some calculated risks make a lot of sense to take. And I think crypto is still one of those risks that's worth taking because the space is still so small. And I think there are enough bullish things going for it that, my mindset was like, I'm going to live like a poor person, and I'm not going to spend any money I don't have to. I'm not going to take profit on almost any of this stuff because I really think a lot of this stuff's going higher. And I still think that's pretty true of crypto. And granted, that view is self-serving because it would make us all a lot of money. But I really do think that's true because there's still enough skepticism out there where I think there are a lot of gains ahead of us.
Yeah, and to be honest, that's actually kind of the thinking that's really kept me around, while waking up and seeing my portfolio down 60% some days and being like, damn, is this ever like...
It's tough. This is a ride, yeah.
I got to stick my money where my mouth is when you say, be ready and lose what you invest. But, so I think that's really, really key.
Honestly, though, man, like, you going through that right off the bat, and there's a lot of people who are going through it right off the bat, and I'm gonna say this: it sucks in the moment, but it'll pay off, and you'll be happy you stuck around because the amount of people I talk to who, for one, they got into crypto on the Mount Gox peak.
Yep.
And they stuck around though. They toughed it out, which is not easy to do. The amount of traders I'll talk to, even myself, who have blown up accounts of, decent size when they first get going, but they stick it out, right? So to me, it's kind of like a rite of passage, and it really sucks because you're losing money, and you got a life and you need this money for things potentially, but if you can stick it out, it's the people who can really stick it out and just, last through it. And you'll be really thankful, you know what I mean? And to anybody listening,
Totally.
I mean, just look at the guests we've had on the podcast. Like, I'd say maybe 80, 90% of them say they got involved in 2013, like late 2013, right at the bubble.
peak.
Like, we've had so many quote unquote OGs, that are like, I bought my first Bitcoin at 1,000 or
guys who are
1,100.
great traders, like wicked traders in this space. And they got in and right at the peak, and they got dumped on hard, and they had to go through that. And it's usually, the hardest lessons are those ones, but those are the best ones you can get early on.
So another one that I've been really kind of tripped up with lately is like, with all the talk in the news of, the over-the-counter Bitcoin purchases that have been increasing, why is the price and the volume not affected on exchanges?
So for one, these OTC trades that are going on, so they're not going on these exchanges, right? So they won't be reflected there. Obviously, you think people are going to hear about this and they're going to want to flock to the exchanges. One part of the OTC boom right now for crypto is a lot of these, the big money doesn't necessarily trust these exchanges. So for them, if they can do an OTC trade and also not have to worry about slippage in their price, they can get, a set even price for an entire order. Whereas, on the market, they might have to do, multiple orders, in a span of maybe a $50 range or something.
Okay.
These guys doing the OTC buys, they don't have to worry about that, right? They're going to get a set price. And then, as well, there's the security thing, right? So they don't have to worry about having money locked up on an exchange, which potentially gets hacked, right? That's a huge concern for a lot of these big players out there. So instead with the OTC, they can just, it's from what I've been hearing, a lot of it is over Skype. They just do a Skype call and then they'll just, wire the money over and then, the Bitcoin will get deposited into a wallet and it's just boom, boom, done kind of thing. Right?
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, and a big reason you don't really see it reflected in the price that much is because the OTC volume, for the most part, is a fraction of what the volume on the major exchanges is. I'm taking a look at the local Bitcoin's volume chart right now, which is like a sort of an OTC metric. It's probably averaging maybe about 60 million traded per day. At this point, and if you look at Bitcoin on exchanges, it's averaging about 5 billion of volume per day. So about 50 million compared to 5 billion. So the pricing is going to be way more in line with what's going on at the exchanges because that's where most of the action's happening.
Yeah, and even I can't remember. I was reading somewhere, and it was now I'm not for certain on this, but now there's a few OTC desks. There's Cumberland Mining. Genesis, I can't remember the full name of them, but anyway, so there's a few, but and I was reading, I think it's somewhere like they do 20 to 50 million, sometimes more a day. At the peak, it was getting really up there where, they were pushing almost 1 billion sometimes. I've heard though lately things have really been picking back up again, but there's a lot of strategies that these players can use when they're doing this. They can say, snag an order OTC and then start, maybe go over to the futures market on the CME and start playing around there. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of different strategies these guys can employ and they can maybe try to shift things in their favor at times.
Gotcha. All right. So here's a fun one. I hear many people talk in this space, obviously, about staying emotionally flat while trading. So outside of trading in crypto, what are some of your favorite movies and TV series that get you emotional? Pick 2 movies, one that gets you jacked up and one that gets you a little choked up.
Obvious answer for me here, Step Brothers, number 1. But for real, one that gets me choked up and jacked up. The same one. So Yankee, I'm also a father. I have a son. Mirror everything you said about your
Sweet,
daughter.
man.
You know, the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life.
That's awesome.
And ever since I've had him, I've become the biggest freaking baby ever. Okay. So, but one movie that gets me jacked at the same time as chokes me up sometime is definitely Remember the Titans.
Nice.
Oh, dude. Dale, I wrote that down on my
classic.
notepad to talk about like just a
was a
second ago.
classic.
Remember the Titans. Yeah.
Oh, it's the best. It's absolute best. I'm actually gonna, now that thinking of this, I'm gonna watch it as soon as we get off this. But
See, I think Miracle for me, Miracle on Ice would fit right.
oh
in.
yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's a
that's
great
a
one.
damn good one
Yeah.
too.
Classic.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was going to say Remember the Titans too. So, yeah, that's one that it kind of gets me, you know, relating to the whole sports thing. But yeah, I'm sure there's like an obvious one that I'm sure I'm just blanking on right now.
Yeah, me too. Me
See,
too.
I think like my favorite movies, like it's kind of like I like the old gangster movies, you know. So like Goodfellas, love
too.
Goodfellas.
Yeah, it's a great
The
movie.
Departed
Scarface.
is maybe my favorite movie ever.
American Gangster.
You know,
Which
just-
one? Killer?
Oh, American
Oh,
Gangster.
American
classic.
Gangster is so good.
That was literally like my favorite movie when I was like 13 years old. I wanted to be like Frank.
Don't we all?
Then my mom heard and she got pissed. So
Oh, that's hilarious.
I had to come back to reality.
That's great. All right, so I'm a big TV guy, so I watch a lot of Walking Dead and stuff like that. So would you guys rather experience an alien invasion or a zombie apocalypse? And I'm talking about the aliens from Signs and the zombies from Walking Dead. You know, if we had those,
Shit.
Dude, zombies any day of the week.
Yeah.
Wait, okay, what are the aliens like from Signs?
they're like,
Fucking freaky.
Yeah, they're
That's
Are they
Fucking
like?
shit.
Are they not out for?
They're
Like they're not friendly,
they're not friendly, but they don't have
No.
guns.
huh?
They make
Because you
clean
see,
that's
sounds.
exactly like what Killer
I'm
said,
interested.
yeah.
Like on this one, I'm kind of torn. I think you know if there are aliens that came, if I could maybe like learn from them or something, you know, and they would share knowledge, and I think that'd be pretty cool. But
Bro, they're not
Hey-
sharing knowledge. They're going to come and
Yeah.
nuke us.
What the
But,
fuck does
yeah.
invasion mean?
if they
That
they
doesn't
want to
mean
like
come here and
me
make
a
you
They're gonna teach you how to get
breakfast.
more.
Well,
Like,
more
here, read a
Bitcoin.
book with me.
Hey, they could invade, but as long as they
You know
want to be
what Prince
homies
wants?
with me, like I'm cool. But
Prince wants an alien invasion of porn aliens. That's what he's hoping.
no,
I'll go
I
zombie
don't
as
mess
well.
with zombies though. So
I feel like
Fucking
zombies we could at least
invasion.
kill.
Come on. Yeah, I'll take the aliens as long as they're gonna come and make me pancakes and waffles in the morning. Totally. So I'm
just
from
great
Iowa.
chefs.
I'm a hunter. I could mow these damn zombies down. I could live on the wild for
Yeah, for real, living in
a
all
couple
those corn
hours.
stalks.
That's right, buddy.
Although that's where the signs aliens lurk as well, is in the corn. So
Yeah,
Dale might be
that's
screwed
true.
here.
That's a good point. Children of the corn.
But yeah, I got to think if I was properly armed, I could take down a fair number of zombies, you know? But aliens, I'll probably just get
Right. The thing
vaporized
about
or
I was thinking about
something.
zombies too in California, especially for I live out in LA. So many damn people out here, man. I mean, I would just be the mass horde.
yeah,
Exactly.
where would you
Well,
run? It's like everything. Yeah.
Can you
Oh
imagine the
my
traffic
God.
trying to get out of LA in an invasion?
Either
Like
situation.
during rush hour?
Yeah.
Pure gridlock. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's all I got. You know, I really want to thank you guys for a lot of the guests that you've had too, because yeah, like you guys said, you know, a lot of the OGs that you've had have had similar experiences buying, you know, at the top and then just getting wrecked. And so, you know, I went to college. I got my business degree, and you know, the one thing that's really keeping me around is I took this entrepreneurial class my junior year, and the biggest thing that my professor was preaching was that if you take a look at some of the biggest companies and corporations in the world, they were all disruptors. So they all took a market that was existing or you know, a product that was existing and just completely flipped it on its head and just took off. And so, you know, when I
That's
started
crypto for you right there.
exactly, yeah. So
Yeah, good words, man. That's good words.
so right when I started looking into all this, I was like, it just screamed everything that you
Yeah.
know I kind of learned.
That's the
from
biggest
that.
thing, right? Like we're young guys, and to me, it was all just about having a place where I know I can have some kind of an opportunity. You know, to me, that was the biggest thing. Is I just need to go somewhere where I know I have opportunity. Now, I don't know what the opportunity might be, but I need to know that I can at least, I see that this, sector, industry, whatever it may be, is gonna, it's a disruptor, in your words, right? So there's opportunity there, and I think that's the coolest part about crypto is it's an opportunity for so many people.
And it still feels like a niche thing too, where
It
if you
is,
talk to the
yeah.
average person, maybe they've heard about Bitcoin or they go, oh, I kind of get it. It's like a digital money. But I don't think most people realize just how much smart, good money is in this space, how many legitimate projects based
Mhm.
on blockchain technology there are. And it's kind of cool being in that club where it's like you feel like you know something that other people don't, And crypto is going to get more boring when everybody thinks it's a cool thing and a disruptive technology, like you were saying. But that's one of the things I like most about it. Just to completely echo what you said is, it feels like we're really at the ground floor of something special.
Still early in the
That's
game.
what I was going to say is people listening, if you're not in crypto or you feel like you're too late, we've had a couple guests on that have very opinions about where we are, in the stage of the game. And we've had people say, third inning of a 9-inning baseball game. We even had someone say that the teams aren't even on the field yet in the baseball game. So I think as long as you're doing your research and you get into something you believe in, what can go wrong, really? I mean, a lot can go wrong. Don't get me wrong, but you understand my drift. So
famous line from Crypto Trojan. He always told me before I was investing, he's like, oh, this is so great. It's going up, da 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 da. But it could go to zero at any time, and you need to know that. Like,
that's the craziest part, right? Because
true.
It's still such a new thing that a lot of this we are literally taking a big gamble in a lot of senses. And obviously I think the big gamble is slowly diminishing as time passes, but like compared to the guys who are getting in, 2012, 2013, 14, whatever, that's a huge gamble at that point to me. Like that is.
Look at the episode with SoCal that we released today. One of the questions we asked him was, when you were involved in 2014, was there any thought among the people involved that, hey, this could all just completely go to zero, go away entirely, it's impossible to trade anymore? And he was like, yeah, totally. Like we all thought that was a very real possibility. And I think that has largely fallen by the wayside where people, at least people who are involved and who know their stuff, they think this stuff they're pretty confident this stuff is here to stay.
All right, well, Yankee, you got any final question that can't come up or anything to add?
No, I mean, again, thank you so much. I mean, it's funny, I see a lot of people, cursing crypto Twitter of, some of the things that are on there, but, it was one of those things when I was experiencing my first like huge dip, like when we went down to 6K and then we went back up to 12 and then all the way back down to, 74, 7,500. It was, those thoughts creep in of like, you look at your portfolio and, when you're using money like I am, the money that I invested, 60% of it, that's kind of a big deal. So looking at, taking that money away was kind of like, all right, should, you can't help but think, should I start cutting my losses here? And then I had this weird feeling was like, yeah, but then I wouldn't be able to tweet anymore.
So true.
Like, who am I going to talk to? And I just started thinking, my usage on Instagram, on Snapchat, on Facebook has gone down so much.
Yeah.
And I'm just so focused on learning and just, researching and finding out new projects and this, that, and the other that I was like, I'm really spending my time more wisely than I was just aimlessly scrolling on.
Yeah, and that's the way you got to be, especially because crypto is such a rabbit hole, right? Like people say it all the time, but it really is. Like you get into the space, and in my opinion, if you really do want to, try and succeed in, these markets, you got to put in a lot of time because it's not like anything, we've been taught before. This isn't, the kind of thing where you're going to go to school and be taught, in a business class, about crypto markets. No, not a chance, right? So this is all on ourselves, and I think that's another really cool thing, right? It's all on ourselves, really.
Yeah, it's a really cool community.
Yeah, the community is what makes it the best for me, honestly. But so thanks again, Yankee. Everyone, go give him a follow on Twitter. It's crypto_Yankee. I was kind of just scrolling through your feed here, and it all looks pretty good. So everyone, thanks for listening. Take care. Peace out. Tip your waitress. Keep this alt season rolling. Get it here. Let's go. LFG. Peace.